Porphyry, or Porphyrius, an outline of his life from the Theosophical Glossary by H.P. Blavatsky, published in 1892, read by Dave Marsland of Cardiff Theosophical Society. Porphyry, or Porphyrius, a Neo-Platonist and a most distinguished writer, only second to Plotinus as a teacher and philosopher. He was born in the middle of the 3rd century AD at Tyre, since he called himself a Tyrian, and is supposed to have belonged to a Jewish family. Though himself thoroughly Hellenized and a pagan, his name Melech, a king, does seem to indicate that he had Semitic blood in his veins. Modern critics very justly consider him to be the most practically philosophical and the soberest of all the Neo-Platonists. A distinguished writer, he was specially famous for his controversy with Iamblichus regarding the evils attendant upon the practice of theurgy. He was, however, finally converted to the views of his opponent. A natural-born mystic, he followed, as did his master Plotinus, the pure Indian Raj Yoga training which leads to the union of the soul with the oversoul or higher self, Buddhi-Manas. He complains, however, that all his efforts notwithstanding, he did not reach this state of ecstasy before he was 60, while Plotinus was proficient in it. This was so probably because his teacher held physical life and body in the greatest contempt, limiting philosophical research to those regions where life and thought become eternal and divine. Porphyry devoted his whole time to considerations of the hearing of philosophy on practical life. The end of philosophy is with him morality, says a biographer. We might almost say holiness, the healing of man's infirmities, the imparting to him a purer and more vigorous life. Mere knowledge, however true, is not of itself sufficient. Knowledge has for its object life in accordance with nous, reason, translates the biographer. As we interpret nous, however, not as reason, but mind, manas, or the divine eternal ego in man, we would translate the idea esoterically and make it read, the occult or secret knowledge has for its object terrestrial life in accordance with nous, or our everlasting reincarnating ego, which would be more consonant with Porphyry's idea as it is with esoteric philosophy. See Porphyrius De Abstinentia 29. Of all the Neo-Platonists, Porphyry approached the nearest to real theosophy as now taught by the Eastern Secret School. This is shown by all our modern critics and writers on the Alexandrian school, for he held that the soul should be as far as possible freed from the bonds of matter. Be ready to cut off the whole body. Ad Marcellum 34. He recommends the practice of abstinence, saying that we should be like gods if we could abstain from vegetable as well as animal food. He accepts with reluctance theurgy and mystic incantation, as those are powerless to purify the noetic or monastic principle of the soul. Theurgy can but cleanse the lower or psychic portion and make it capable of perceiving lower beings such as spirits, angels and gods. Just as Theosophy teaches. Do not defile the divinity, he adds. With the vain imaginings of men you will not injure that which is for ever blessed, Buddhi-Manas, but you will blind yourself to the perception of the greatest and most vital truths. Ad Marcellum 18. If we would be free from the assaults of evil spirits, we must keep ourselves clear of those things over which evil spirits have power, for they attack not the pure soul, which has no affinity with them. De Abstinentia 2:43. This is again our teaching. The Church Fathers held Porphyry as the bitterest enemy, the most irreconcilable to Christianity. Finally, and once more as in modern theosophy, Porphyry, as all the Neo-Platonists according to St. Augustine, praised Christ while they disparaged Christianity. Jesus, they contended, as we contend, said nothing himself against the pagan deities, but wrought wonders by their help. They could not call him, as his disciples did, God, but they honoured him as one of the best and wisest of men. Yet, even in the storm of controversy, scarcely a word seems to have been uttered against the private life of Porphyry.